The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. Monday morning, 60 minutes to go until that opening bell. And we have quite a market to the downside to start things off, folks. We have the Dow futures off 766 points, trading at 28,215. S&P's negative by 81 points, trading at 3257. NASDAQ futures, quite a number. You have the NASDAQ down 254 points, 2.7%, trading at 9203. Oil off more than $2. Oil off almost 4% at 51.35. You've got the gold contract up $30. That's almost a solid 2% in the positive at 16.75. And how about notes and bonds? The 10-year under 1.4%, sitting at 1.39% right now. Pretty remarkable, the run that we've had. We'll start things off. Let's jump over to the charts. We'll start it off with the S&P. You don't have to go back far, folks, for the all-time high of 33.97. We get a print in the futures. That is late Wednesday night, coming into Thursday. You see the slide begin Thursday in the middle of the day. Now, what's remarkable is this slide doesn't even look that dramatic. When it was happening, it was quite a slide, going from about 33.88 down to a spike low of 33.39. We somewhat recover towards the end of Thursday. If you call Friday, a similar sell-off on Friday. We finish Friday at about 33.40, and then you see where the futures open on Sunday night. This is a 15-minute chart. A lot of this having to do with the coronavirus. That fears of that spreading, number of cases popping up in a variety of countries. Excuse me, that number now 33.40. We opened the futures last night at about 33.10. This is a 15-minute chart. We hang out in that area up to about 2 a.m. this morning. You start to get action in Europe. You go from 32.90. We reach a low of 32.41 in the S&Ps. You were down 91 points at one point. That at about 6 a.m. this morning. Currently trading 32.51. Quite a number with 60 minutes to go until the opening bell. We'll jump around to some of the other indices. There's your Dow. There's the gap between last night. You see the slide last night. Futures open at about 29,000. We slide immediately down to 28,585, and we're far below that level right now, trading at 28,176 in the Dow futures. There's your NASDAQ 100. You see the gap again for Sunday evening. We open at around 93.60, currently trading 91.87. The lows overnight, you're looking at about 91.29. We covered the S&Ps, 32.51. Crude oil, pretty similar action in terms of to the downside. You see crude last week, we close out the week at about 53.45. Crude at session lows right now, under $52, approaching $51 at 51.18. On the flip side of that, gold charging higher. Gold making it above 16.90 at one point. Quite a week last week for gold. We finished it out at about 16.45. You have the gold contract, April futures, currently trading at 16.80. And we have some dollar strength, euro weakness, euro trading at 108.20. In terms of headlines, you almost don't know where to start. We're going to start with the bonds, though, because quite a number. 10-year Treasury, 1.39% as we sit. The 30-year, to put things in context, the 30-year right now, 1.84, reaching an all-time low of 1.832%. Remarkable. So that's the lowest level in the 10-year since July of 2016. I believe the all-time low of the 10-year, 1.31%. Tom's been talking about it a lot on his program. On our program, we do at 10 o'clock. He's looking for that 10-year to charge towards that all-time low. And boy, today's action says that that is definitely in the realm of possibilities as notes and bonds. You just saw the interview he did with Bud Spriggs leading up to this on Friday. Pretty interesting interview. It'd be interesting to see what happens to that mortgage market, refinances, the housing market in general as rates plummet, putting mortgages a little bit more inexpensive overall. So there's your headline. Stock market, Dow futures down 770. Airlines slide as you'd expect. Apple drops. Jumping over to Apple, some of the stocks making moves this morning. Some of the tech stocks. There's your Apple shares. Were as low as 297 last night. Currently sitting at about 301. I mean, we're down everywhere, folks. Obviously, when you have the markets down between 2.5 to 3%. Microsoft at about 171.95. Some of the chip stocks, Intel, 62.45. NVIDIA, 275. NVIDIA was just traded at 317 at that high on Thursday. Pretty remarkable. We covered it. The S&Ps at an all-time high, correlating. I mean, you're talking about almost $45 NVIDIA has lost since overnight on Thursday. Even Micron, checking that out, about 53.59. Some of the other tech stocks in terms of Google, not getting hit as hard as maybe for Apple, but still down about $45 this morning. Other headlines out there in terms of what is happening, sliding down. I mean, this is just to give you a glimpse of what is hitting the market. So you have oil tumbling. You have the markets now seeing a Fed rate cut as soon as April. So the market now pricing in a better than even 53% chance of an interest rate cut at their April meeting, according to the Fed Watch. That's the most aggressive pricing during this cycle and reflective of how anxious Wall Street is getting over the disruptive threat of the virus posing. For some context, the biggest one-day drops in the last 3 years. We're looking at a Dow right at around 800 points right now. That would put it right up there. I mean, remarkable though when you look. I wasn't aware, just on the top of my head. I mean, just in 2018 and 2019, we had a couple 1,000-point days. We had a couple 800-point days. On the S&P, we're down about 80 points right now. We're down about 2.6%, give or take. And you're looking at, give or take, we've had 10 so days over the last 3 years. Now, in terms of headlines, jumping over to some of the headlines of the coronavirus, you have UK passengers infected. You have Italy halting one of their carnivals. So you have things kind of spreading pretty quickly. And to get into some of the headlines here, so you have South Korea raising their alert to the highest level as cases reach 602. Italy infections now reaching 132 with 89 in one region. As for China, we're now above 76,000 for cases. Fatalities, 2,442. In terms of headlines, and this is where things get, scary, to say the least. Italy reporting their third death. You have passengers testing positive in the UK. 4 more patients have tested positive for the coronavirus. The UK chief medical officer said in a statement they arrived in the country yesterday on an evacuation flight with 32 passengers from the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship. This cruise ship, folks, it should be scrutinized. It's unfortunate what seems to have happened. Many people infected. We now have, I believe, a third death from that cruise ship alone. And one of the headlines, we'll jump over here. So here's Americans that were evacuated from that cruise ship. This is a Post article from yesterday. Some of the pictures just remarkable, almost like it's straight out of the movies. I mean, check out this airliner, as what ended up happening is that you had 329 Americans, and they had this. 14 of them tested positive but were asymptomatic right as they arrived at the plane. And the State Department decided to allow those passengers on the plane against the wishes of the CDC. And we'll get into more of it when we come back. We'll be right back, folks.
If you're in the CD market and looking for a secure investment, the Tiger First Mortgage Program may work for you. The security for these first mortgages are building lots in the Tax Opportunity Zone in St. Petersburg, Florida. The Tax Act of 2018 set up tax-free zones across the country where you can build and hold for 10 years and pay no tax on the profits, which makes these lots valuable. The investment is anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000. The interest paid is 7% yearly, paid on a monthly basis. According to Bankrate.com, the best rate for a 4-year CD in the country as of February 20th is 3.1%. A $50,000 investment at a normal 4-year CD rate of 3.1% would give you income of $1,550 per year or $6,200 over the 4-year period. That same $50,000 investment in the Tiger First Mortgage Program would give you $3,500 per year or $14,000 over the 4 years. Which would you prefer, $6,200 or $14,000 of interest on your investment? If you would like more information about the Tiger First Mortgage Program, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190. The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metal sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. Markets right where we started off the program. We now got the Dow futures right off 801 points, S&P's negative by 88, and you're looking at a NASDAQ off by about 275 points. Jumping back to the story that I covered, and it's going to be a lot about the coronavirus this morning. That's what's hitting the market completely. We could get into individual equities, but the stories driving it are the fears of this virus reverberating around the globe. So to get back into this American flight, because it ties into this American Diamond Princess cruise in Japan, and there's a couple stories from this. These poor people that were trapped on this cruise ship just handled horribly. So, I mean, the pictures are almost straight out of a movie in terms of an outbreak or something. This is what the pictures looked like in terms of people, Americans on this plane. So 329 American passengers from the Princess cruise ship flown back to the U.S. after 2 weeks quarantined in their cabins off the coast of Japan. And what ended up happening was you had 14 Americans testing positive as they showed up literally right at the airport about to board the plane. The State Department overruling the CDC and allowing those passengers on the plane, even though they were asymptomatic, against the wishes of the CDC. So you're bringing back 14 infected passengers. You're bringing them back with the 329 passengers on the plane that tested negative. Now, all of these passengers having to sit in a 2-week quarantine when they return to America. But what ends up happening is this cruise ship, to jump to the fears of what's going on. So you have a Japan cruise passenger confirmed with the virus after going home. And these are the stories that really send kind of fear throughout the market. You have a woman in her 60s tested positive for the virus after disembarking from the cruise ship docked in Yokohama following a 2-week quarantine. The patient tested negative for the virus on February 14th, returned home near Tokyo on February 19th. We'll scroll down. I believe it's 21st. Develops a fever on the 21st. Tests positive on the 22nd. The patient's the first to be confirmed with the virus after disembarking from the vessel and comes amid increasing skepticism over Japan's handling of the situation. That cruise ship, and that is the big fear, more than 1,000 passengers left the virus-hit ship last week After the quarantine period, the vessel had the most infections anywhere outside of China, more than 600 confirmed cases. I believe, unfortunately, it's now a death toll of 3 just from this ship. And unfortunately, I would expect that to rise with 600 cases and more popping up. Total infections in Japan, excluding the ship, climbing to more than 130. Japan won't test medical workers who came in close contact with the passengers. Doctors and nurses who don't have symptoms won't be examined because they have mastered the technology to prevent infection. The report said that is scary, scary stuff when they won't test the people that are coming out of there. Pretty remarkable. In terms of, again, just scary stuff in terms of how is this being handled, who is making decisions. All right, so China announces easing of the Wuhan's quarantine and then retracts it hours later. It's, you know, it's very easy to question the decisions being made when you see these types of headlines. So Wuhan has been locked down since January 23rd. Folks, it's February 24th. You're talking about more than a full month, all right? And China said in an announcement that the quarantine in Wuhan would be eased, was prematurely issued without approval from top officials. The lockdown of the Chinese city where the novel coronavirus emerged would remain fully in place. So the abrupt turnaround within a matter of hours added to the confusion emanating from the devastated city of 11 million, which has been sealed off since January 23rd. Folks, New York City, I think we're talking about 8 million, so just a mammoth city. So Hubei province, where Wuhan is located, also adjusted its official count of infected people multiple times in recent weeks. Again, just not sure if you can trust what's coming out of there. So the way it came down is that on Monday, the city government statement on Weibo said that non-residents would now be able to travel out of Wuhan as long as they are healthy and not quarantined. It was the first move to ease a lockdown over the 60 million Hubei population that's been in place for a month, as seen as a sign that China believed the outbreak is under control, I believe that's supposed to say. But hours later, the statement was deleted off Weibo, as well as state media sites without explanation shortly after a new statement was issued on the city's government's account saying the earlier announcement was quote-unquote unauthorized and that there would be no change in the quarantine. So scary stuff. Not really sure what's going on. I think that's what you're seeing reverberate around the market. North Korea reportedly quarantining now 380 foreigners in a bid to prevent their outbreak. The majority of those quarantined are thought to be diplomats stationed in Pyongyang. It's just countless how many of these headlines are hitting here. Global stocks roiled. Italy and South Korea sound coronavirus outbreak. South Korea's government raised the alert to its highest level after the number of confirmed cases escalated from 31 to 763 in less than a week. Iran has now reported 12 deaths and up to 61 new cases. The mortality rate doesn't seem to be that high, which points to the fact that if there are 12 deaths, there may be many more cases than 61 so far being reported. And of course, you got President Xi in China rallying the people back to work as the country continues to battle the virus outbreak. Pretty stark headline after what I've just read you across the board, that you, of course, have China now worrying about the real economic impact that they will be facing as you try and rally your people back to work, and then you see the headlines reverberating. And I mean, the impact that this had on global markets is just huge. I had the numbers up here. I wonder where they are in terms of where. I'll pull them up over the break when we come in, but global stocks down dramatically, to say the least. Checking back in on our markets, you have the Dow right near session lows, 28,164. NASDAQ 100, pretty similar, 91.75. S&Ps right down there near session lows at 32.48. I mean, even since 7 a.m., we're down 17 S&P points. That's more than 0.5% within the last 2 hours alone that we're down from that little peak that we got of a reprieve. Crude oil, session lows, 51.17. Gold, 16.77. That euro US dollar at 108.15. Pretty remarkable. Other news out there jumping around. We'll jump away from the coronavirus. Wells Fargo, how about them? Friday, after the close, announcing that they're going to pay a $3 billion fee in settling criminal and civil investigations into its fraudulent sales practices. They signed a deferred prosecution agreement for the criminal part of this for 3 years. Pretty remarkable with what Wells Fargo has done, that criminally no one is held responsible for basically forging paperwork, creating accounts, ruining people's credit, and all they have to do is defer prosecution for 3 years, which basically means they behave for 3 years. Those charges go away. Not sure how that makes sense. There's Wells Fargo. And you see the spike higher, actually, on the news on Friday, up to 48.59, and Wells Fargo with the rest of the market early this morning selling off, looking at open at about 46.55 this morning. Some of the airline stocks, as you'd expect, big trouble for the airline stocks continuing. 26.24 for American. Delta looking to open about 54.80. United Airlines this morning, 75.25 on that open so far. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be coming back to wrap up the program. I'll go through what else we have on tap. We have some earnings this morning. On top of that, we got Hertz. I believe we have some other companies out there into it with their earnings this morning. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be coming back in 3 minutes to wrap up the program. We'll go into stocks. We'll stay away from the coronavirus as we wrap up the show, see what else we have on tap. Dow Jones futures off 805 points. We'll be right back.
I'm certain you are or strive to be one of the best at everything you do in life. It's the most common trait that we tigers and tigresses share. If you're looking to become the best of the best when it comes to managing your money, let me teach you to do what most wealth managers tell you can't be done, which is how to time the markets. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability, and for the last 12 months, Timer Digest has been tracking my newsletter signals, which have earned me the ranking as their #1 market timer in the nation for the S&P 500 for the last 12, 6, and 3 months. Timer Digest also ranks me as the #1 market timer for gold as well. The fact is, markets can be timed, and I'll teach you the exact set of tools that I use that has transformed me into one of the best at what I do. Sign up for Mastering Probability today by clicking on the newsletter tab on the homepage of TFNN.com and get immediate access to workshops where I take you step by step how to use an extraordinary set of tools as well as provide great market calls too. Sign up today.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. S&P futures right now, 32.46. That's negative 89 points with an 8.9. Jumping back to what I was talking about in terms of around the globe. So South Korea's index 4% in the negative. South Korea, one of the countries making headlines. You have Italy plunging more than 1,170 points. That's almost 5% down. And then you got the stocks the stocks tumbling 3.5%, the FTSE, CAC, and the DAX all down dramatically. So stocks all across the globe getting hit. Now jumping back into equities in America, you have the Wells Fargo headline out there. Goldman Sachs, pretty interesting here. Units in Malaysia pleaded not guilty to misleading investigators in that 1MDB fund, that persisting. You have Pepsi agreed to buy China snack maker B & Cherry from its Chinese owner. I'm not sure I'd be in the market for buying Chinese companies right now with all this going on, but nonetheless. You have Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods, a new place burger challenge. You have Cargill, privately company. They're going to launch their own plant-based burger. Intuit is near a deal to buy privately held credit monitoring firm Credit Karma for about $7 billion in cash and stock. You got Blackstone going to be making a bid for Japan hotel chain Unizo. And Keurig Dr. Pepper Morgan Stanley, upgrading them to an equal weight. And on the cannabis sector, Aurora and Tilgrade getting a downgrade from market perform from outperform due to increasingly cautious outlook for cannabis sales in Canada. You have Cowen said headwinds facing the industry are not fading as previously anticipated, and adds that Canopy Growth remains its only outperform rated stock among cannabis producers. And we'll check in on some of those cannabis producers as we wrap up the hour right now. There's your Canopy chart. Canopy Growth, $21, closed at $21.88. They talked about Aurora, down this morning. They talked about Tilray. Everything's down this morning, but Tilray down to about $17.95. I appreciate you joining me, folks. Stay tuned. Larry Pezzimento coming up right now at 9. I'll be back at 10 o'clock. Should be an interesting day in the markets.